Hi, I'm Shelly Netzer-Edgerton, and this is Green Rose Edge. All my videos are unrehearsed, unscripted, and unedited, so that might explain a lot. If you like my videos, subscribe, like, and click that bell for notifications, and you'll get every time I actually upload another video. They are, as you'll notice if you've watched my videos a few times, they're random when I actually upload a video, so I don't have a regular schedule at this time. Don't have a lot of different equipment, so I'm just doing this for fun right now. Hopefully I'll get a few subscribers, but I just thought I should try and upload a little more often, so I'll do that today. I like to ask my subscribers, the people on YouTube to tell me what they'd like me to speak about. I do a lot of Harry Potter. I have a lot of knowledge about Harry Potter, though I am actually not a fan. I just happen to know the Harry Potter because I do come from a family surrounded by lovers of that series. And to speak to my daughter, I have to somewhat understand it to have at least somewhat intelligent conversation, even if the subject matter is not intelligent. I have a plethora of knowledge about many things. I tend to give things a chance even if it's not in the style I like or genre or something. Although Harry Potter is in my genre, vampires, witches, werewolves, monsters, magic is one of my favorite genres. I watched a lot of Arthurian legend. Harry Potter's puts witches and wizards as being just the male and female. Although if you look at the witches, they are totally different than the wizards. Wizards are male and female wizards. You are not the females of wizards are called wizards. They're not called witches. Witches was a much later. The first time I have seen that term as witches and wizards as the male and female was actually prior to J.K. Rowling's with The Worst Witch. That was also the first time you've heard of a school for witches. It was the witches were the ones in the school, and the Grand Wizard was the head of the cultural thing. So I see a lot of similarities between that and Harry Potter. It was made in the 80s, and Tim Curry played the Grand Wizard. So you look up Tim Curry and you'll see a movie called The Worst Witch. And you can find that movie and see. He sings in it, by the way. And this little girl named Mildred Hubble was the main character. She makes mistakes in all of her potions tests, and she doesn't she has trouble figuring out what to do. She is always confused on all of her classes, gets the lowest score on all of her tests. She's the one who isn't good enough. And then there's Ethel Hallow, top of the class, family's rich, and family's always been the popular ones. And she treats Mildred extremely bad. And Mildred works her heart out. She is so hard learning how to fly, and she is you'll see the teacher is even kind of not giving her a fair lot in it either, because she's judging the flyers in one scene, and she's like giving higher numbers, and then she says, "Oh, that person's flying very well. Who is that?" Finds out it's Mildred. 4. Other ones are getting 7, 8. And they're not flying as well as she was. Somehow, she goes in this test and she actually ends up getting a higher level grade in the end, and she's just below making it to the group that's flying for this big celebration. And then someone couldn't make it, so she got in and sees her broom is broken because she'd fallen a while back in all her practice, and the broom broke. She has it tied together so that she can fly. And of course, Ethel says, "Oh, I have a broom she could borrow. She can use my spare." And she gives her, but she puts a spell saying that when she says faster, it's going to crash, and she's going to make Mildred lose control. So during the celebration, she makes out the call and Mildred crashes. The Grand Wizard leaves immediately after, and Mildred runs away. And while she runs away, her one friend there is like, "You're always treating Mildred so badly," to Ethel. "Now you've ruined it for all of us," and starts to see the first of Ethel Ethel's downfall. And while Mildred is out alone running away, she finds that, and everybody else is sleeping in because it's the day after Halloween and they had a big party. She sees the sister of the headmistress, the twin sister, is making plans to turn the girls into to take out her sister, the headmistress, and change the school. She turns them into snails and takes them back to the school. And of course, the teacher that's always been quite against Mildred, Mrs. Hartburn, is going to please, me, like I said, unrehearsed and unscripted. So once Mrs. Hartburn is, as soon as she walks in, is ready to get rid of her, punish her, expel her. Whereas Mrs. Cackle, the head of the academy, the headmistress, is willing to listen to what she's trying to say. And then when she describes the ones that were, she's like, that's my sister, exactly like my sister. It's like, turn them back. It's like, yes, turn them back into witches. Like, and she, from memory, has unscripted, unrehearsed, unedited. Thank you very much for listening to this rant and description. But she goes and she turns them back, and the sister's about to go after, and the headmistress stops her. And they do a little they talk to her sister and send her away. And you see what's and you see through the, and have her go to bed, and she gets woken up by her friend, and she says there's a big big thing in the Great Hall, and she needs to go to the Great Hall, and the teachers want to see her. The headmistress wants to see her. And she walks in, and everybody else is already there, and the Grand Wizard's there, and the Grand Wizard says, I've seen how her friends have treated her, and how the best witch is, how a true witch is not always doing the best on her tests, and a true witch has magic in them at all times. And as she showed, she just she has cast some more complicated spells, and she does do magic. And she is offered to spend the day with the Grand Wizard because the Grand Wizard asked the headmistress to proclaim a holiday because of what Mildred did. She saved the school. And so that was such a cute thing. And at the time that I had first seen it, I was a little girl, same as Rawlings probably. Maybe she was a little older than me. I'm not sure her age. I'm in my 30s. She might have been a little older, but you can see the similarities between The Worst Witch, although the storyline is much better. It's just one little thing, and just one little one little movie, and it is actually done, and it's got a full storyline and all. They did a TV series, and they did more with it, and I loved the Netflix series. It's been 2 seasons so far on Netflix. I've watched both. I watched the second one as soon as I saw it, because I haven't checked to see if there is a third one yet, but I'd wish, but last time I checked Netflix, there wasn't a third season, sadly. So, but they kind of spread the first season where she does her final tests, says, and Miss Harper says, another professor would have failed you, but she wasn't, because before that she had already saved the school, and having saved the school and all, she has got a little leeway, but she was improving. So and then the second season, it's the same type of thing, and they go home. You find out in the second season that her mother doesn't have magic because her and she does, because her 13 generations back gave up their magic to save the school. Her ancestor gave up the magic of the family for the next so many generations so that she could save the school. And then she comes up, and she's the next generation and the first one to get their magic back. So it's interesting. They're doing a family tree experiment to see, because she doesn't know who's in her family, and this is the TV series, or the Netflix series. So The Worst Witch, I didn't see too many episodes of the BBC Worst Witch. I think it was the BBC, but the TV show, it was around in the 90s. That ironically, so is about the time that Harry Potter came out. She probably heard something, or but it's like when that came out, which was popular about the same year as Harry Potter. That was a show that had the movie had been out for years. But you see the influence of the Worst Witch on the series Harry Potter. And The Lord of the Rings, someone pointed out and did a video. I can't remember who it was, and I can't find it, but it was some guy. He did a pointed out similarities in the characters. Merry and Pippin are how Merry and Pippin are exactly like Fred and George, and that they had used the characters from The Lord of the Rings and directly copied a lot of the storyline when she did that. And the fact that I was into The Lord of the Rings when Peter Jackson came out, and I had seen all and knew something, kind of made Harry Potter the first time I saw it. Been there, done that, boring. I wasn't as interested in it. I see so many things that were coming out about the same time or before, and I was like, and they had more complex storyline and had a more and were done before her. So I see where she got it from, and she used characters from mythology and stuff. She just took what was already there and just threw it together quickly. Generally speaking, there was nothing new in Harry Potter. It wasn't even like more real, and she didn't do a very good job of character development or plot development. I found better plot development in The Worst Witch. It went a lot faster, and it was more of a story. And then I watched, like I said, The Lord of the Rings, and all. And of course, I watched the movie of The Worst Witch years before. I also loved the movie The Witches, which was cute, based on a book by Roald Dahl. And I loved everything from The Mists of Avalon and all that 90s era stuff that was there. The Mists of Avalon was amazing. That was the story of King Arthur told from the point of view of the women, including the main narrator is his sister, Morgana Le Fay. Morgana Le Fay was not a witch. She was a wizard. She was actually Le Fay of the fairies, but fairies and wizards are kind of the same thing. Fairies is just another term. Le Fay of the fairies, Morgane of the fairies, Morgana Le Fay. I actually used to have someone I worked with who called me Le Fay, called me Shelley Le Fay of the fairies. She called me a fairy, because I knew everything, my whole persona. So I guess I can see why people think I'm a fairy. Cheery even in the darkest of situations sometimes. But, well, I was I love the Mists of Avalon. These are things that will make you not like Harry Potter. But I was into the whole genre, before Harry Potter ever came out. And I was more on witches and wizards and the druids and Celtic peoples. I was more knowledgeable about that even at a very young age. I mean, I was probably like 8 when I started getting past like Worst Witch and children's witch stuff. I was probably 8 or 9, and I was like 13 when Harry Potter came out. When the first book came out. And then by the time the movie came out, I had already seen a few episodes of the television series. I saw the movie years before, because that came out in the 80s, a little bit after I was born. And I had loved it and watched it. I watched other vampire and witch children's movies, and I was getting into actually a little more adult of the genre, because my family did not know the difference. I had seen Interview with a Vampire probably before that, and probably by the time I was 10. So I had seen that a couple years ago. I watched it once or twice. It wasn't too bad. I actually like Anne Rice. When Queen of the Damned came out, I loved that movie. To get into the vampires. And then I like the Twilight. I like how she goes through the whole... One of my favorite parts is that she goes through vampires from A to Z. Has the whole website. And she goes through and looks at it, and in the book it has like excerpts from the types of vampires throughout the world, and I love that, the old legends and stuff. And then so it shows some respect for what came before her, and that was so much with them coming both out in pop culture. I see more of the respect for those who came before her and knowledge of the subject. I see greater amount of knowledge and respect in Stephenie Meyer's works than in J.K. Rowling's. I don't know if you got anything from this. I mean, it's quite a long vid, but I'll see you next time at Green Rose Edge. Like, subscribe, click that bell, and comment so that I know if you even watched the whole thing. Comment down below, because I'd like to know if somebody actually went through a half-hour video of mine. Thank you, and bye!